What's going on, boxing fans? I'm back here with another video here set for you guys. Gonna be talking about the welterweight division. I am very, very happy to be able to say that one of the most prestigious divisions in boxing, uh, unanimously, you could say throughout history, is finally getting back to its groove. Finally getting over a little bit of a stone age, getting out of the guys such as the names of Sean Porter, Errol Spence Jr., Keith Thurman, who's still kicking around, but not really, Danny Garcia, who's semi-retired, Terrence Crawford's no longer in the division, guys like Kell Brook, who was on the outside looking in as well, who are former champions, Amir Khan. There's a lot of names and a lot of guys for a lot of years in that welterweight division laid claim to that division and did a lot of success in that division. And now I think we're getting back to a rebound of what that was, and we're starting to get a nice big division. Pictured above, you have a guy named Teofimo Lopez. He is not in the welterweight division as of right now. He is in the super lightweight slash junior welterweight division. I do think eventually that Teofimo Lopez will make his way to the welterweight division. He just jumped up, I believe, recently. I know on the Steve Claggett fight, he was in super lightweight. The fight previous before that, a few fights, he's been in the super lightweight division. I think after this fight that he has with Arnold Barboza, especially if it is a win, there is a lot of names in the super lightweight division to be able to go into to potentially get a unification in there because he's just the WBO title holder as of right now. So maybe he wants to clear out the division and become undisputed once again. But I wouldn't mind with a lot of the other names that we're going to be talking about early or later, on this video that is going to be money makers 100%. So I do think eventually, if not this year, maybe next year, we will get Teofimo Lopez in the welterweight division, and we'll finally get some more exclusive matches with some beautiful names that we have here above. And those names start off with Rolando Rolly Romero. Rolly is a guy that honestly, wherever you have him on your card, it's going to be kind of worthwhile having him on there. The reason I say that is because with Rolly, you're just going to get some type of entertainment. Most of his fights that he gets into are not boring. Either they're very controversial, hence the Ismael Barroso quote unquote win. You have the knockout losses that he had with Tank Davis, and the build-up that he had with that was absolutely pure entertainment. The TKO, the big matchup that he had against Pitbull, Isaac Cruz. You can put him against a lot of big names. Even if he's just on a one fight win streak right now, he's about to face off in Ryan Garcia. They're both of these guys are making their debut in the welterweight division. You stack them up with anybody else, especially somebody like I'm going to be talking about later in this video, that being Conor Benn. That would be an absolutely of a banger matchup, as well as the build up would be tremendous. So Rolly Romero, the entertainment value, the name value that he has with his previous run-ins with the Mayweather Boxing Gym, I think he brings some type of value to the welterweight division. I think he'll be a quality win for somebody that's, a title holder or somebody that has their resume seem stacked and long. You have Rolly Romero, even though he's going to probably end up with like 5 or 6 losses on his record, but he's going to get knocked out. He's going to have his knockouts. He's going to have some great performances, and he's going to get his ass beat a few times. And I think that's really the role that fits Rolly Romero. And moving on to the next guy we're going to talk about, and that being the aforementioned Conor Benn. Conor Benn, as of right now, he's been going to a fight, going to be jumping up to middleweight to go against Chris Eubank Jr. I don't think that will be his division that he'll stay in after that fight. I think that'll kind of be a one-off for him to jump up from welterweight all the way to middleweight. Think that's going to be a big one on him. I'll make that prediction video probably later throughout this week or this weekend. Depends on how I'm feeling. But Conor Benn, he has some decent wins over, older, washed type of guys, but experienced fighters such as Adrian Granados, Chris Algieri, Chris Van Herden. Recently, he just had a win against Peter Dobson, but that was literally like a year ago. So Conor Benn is another type of Rolly Romero type of fighter. Very, very entertaining. Gets into these crazy build-ups as he ends as of right now with Chris Eubank Jr. Put him with another star in there. He's going to have another crazy build-up into his fights. Has skill, same as Rolly Romero. I kind of categorize them in the same type of tier. Has skill, has definitely power. but I don't think he's top tier elite level type of fighter where you put him with a name like the aforementioned Errol Spence or like a Terrence Crawford in their primes in the welterweight division. I don't think he's up to that par, up to that level, or the level that the other names that I'm going to be bringing later in this video. I don't think he's close to that, but I definitely think that, again, brings the entertainment value, has the knockout power, has skills, is also a name, coming from his father before him. So Conor Benn, especially bringing that UK and English crowd with him, is definitely going to be a name, is definitely going to be a player in the welterweight division to come after the fight that he has in the middleweight division with Chris Eubank Jr. And moving on to the next guy, we got Mr. Superstar himself, Ryan Garcia. We already know he's coming off his quote unquote no contest win against Devin Haney. Has been built as a star, has, all time knockouts, has been knocked out before by a Tank Davis. But looking at that loss against Tank Davis, it could be aging like wine. He's pushing for a rematch, throughout the entirety time of him after that loss with Tank. But he is getting older. He is getting bigger. He's just making his debut in the 147, that being welterweight division. So I think he's going to be able to stay in this division probably maybe 1 to 2 or a year, at least a year and a half, 2 years. Then his body will just continue to grow, and then maybe he'll jump up to 154, maybe 160 later in his career. But Ryan Garcia is here to stay. He's a very big name. Again, entertainment value. Again, controversy with the whole build up, and not just the build up, but the fight as well. Getting popped for steroids, even though it wasn't, enough amount to be able to say that he actually was taking it. It was a whole big thing. But you know what you're getting with Ryan Garcia. You're getting a big name, a big star, a face, pay-per-view buys in the welterweight division. Eyes are going to be on him. He's also a major player. Skills, speed, power, just on another level. I don't see as Ryan Garcia being somebody that's going to be undisputed champion in boxing, pound for pound type of guy. But I definitely could see him as a face, as a big name, or one of the biggest names in boxing to be able to come to in the future. Similar, I think his career arc will be the same as like his, guy that's promoting him, that being Golden Boy, Oscar De La Hoya. Think he's going to have the same type of career trajectory where, again, big name, Mexican crowd, but also being Mexican American as well. So he plays to the American crowd as well. Ladies love him. He looks absolutely tremendous. You got to give him that. But I don't think he'll be, again, pound for pound in the rankings, top 10, up to there. But the speed, the power, the skills is just on another level, and especially with the name that Ryan Garcia has built already, he is definitely going to be at least a title holder. 100%, he's going to at least be a title holder. But then again, like I said, I don't think he'll be undisputed as well. And moving on to the next guy that's just debuting in the welterweight division as well, and his name is the guy who lost to the guy that we were just talking about, Mr. Ryan Garcia, that being Devin Haney. Now, I said I don't think that Ryan Garcia could be undisputed, but I could see a better chance of Devin Haney actually being an undisputed, especially if he comes with some type of level up, more tricks into his bag. He's also very experienced. The record and resume of Devin Haney speaks volume. He's been in there with a lot of big names. He's been headlining a lot of his pay-per-views. He's not a big name like a Ryan Garcia, like a Tank Davis. He's definitely a player. He's more of his game is more of it speaking for itself in the ring. Very, very technical, very great mindful IQ, boxer, great jab. He is the perfect definition of what you would want as a boxer. But as an overall fighter, I wouldn't be able to say the same for him. Obviously, we already know what's lacking with Devin Haney, and that being his power. And with Devin Haney and his power lacking and him bumping up and going to a bigger weight division for himself, if he doesn't carry any type of pop, I mean, not any type of pop in terms of, having to knock somebody out, but at least stave off people. Make sure that they're worried whenever they actually are coming inside and trying to be able to land a nice combination, or they're just going to walk him down continuously. if he doesn't have any type of level up in terms of his power, with also growing with his body, getting more mature, getting that grown man strength into him, I think it's going to be rough for Devin Haney. But besides that, just the talent and skill that he just has, I can see him to be able to be a top of this welterweight division and even more divisions. And especially with his name growing, him being tied in with Ryan Garcia and having that controversy surrounding that no contest in the first fight that they had, them possibly getting that rematch in the 147-pound division is a very big pay-per-view sell. So again, I think Devin Haney is going to be one of the biggest and best players, but he obviously needs what is obviously lacking in his game that he's been having since the beginning of his career. That's the one drawback that he has. But if he has something to be able to subside that for himself, he can be able to grow into the potential of the fighter that is literally skilled on every single level. And now to the title belt holders we go to. Mario Barrios is the WBC welterweight champion. He's a guy that, you kind of already know what you're getting in. One of the elder statesmen in boxing as of right now, has like a decade in the game already. We've seen his face many times. He's got knocked out by Gervonta Tank Davis, and after that, he came back into the ring and went against Keith Thurman, and he got absolutely obliterated in that fight as well. So he's gone up against top tier competition or higher levels of competition, and we kind of already get a sense of what Mario Barrios is. But then after that loss that he suffered to Keith Thurman, he then got a bounce back victory, then got a really nice big victory over Yordenis Ugas, who has been in against the who's who division, in the welterweight division, that being said. But he looked very washed in that fight. I don't know if, the age is finally starting to get to Ugas, but Barrios does get the victory. Then he got another victory, I believe, against Maidana's relative. And then after that, he had the draw on Netflix with the Jake Paul and Mike Tyson fight, where he had it with Abel Ramos, which was very lackluster, in my opinion, in terms of his performance. But the fight was actually very entertaining. And while that did happen and while that did occur, Mario Barrios, in my opinion, is just a dude that's just holding the WBC belt as of right now to later get matched up with somebody that is on another level compared to him, like, the aforementioned matchups that he had before in his career. And he's going to drop the belt. He'll get beat up by, like, a Ryan Garcia, maybe a Devin Haney if they get matched up. I could see him losing to anybody else on that I mentioned before in this video. Mario Barrios is a tough out, is a good fighter, is in there, to really just thug it out, but I don't see much in him. And we move on to the WBA title belt holder as of right now, Amanda Stanionis, who is going to go against the IBF title holder as of right now, Jerron Boots Ennis. I didn't make a prediction video for that one, but Amanda Stanionis, I get the same type of vibe for him that I got from David Morrell Jr. when he matched up against David Benavidez, where you kind of have a young, up-and-coming, not a lot of experience type of fighter that's from that type of area that's kind of, known but not really unknown. I believe he's from Lithuania, but he carries a lot of power. He has a lot of skill. He's definitely still going to be in the welterweight division and still going to be a player for the aforementioned time that he's going to be in the welterweight division. But as of right now, I don't see much out of Amanda Stanionis. Needs more experience, needs more grit and time to be able to go through the things that he needs to be able to get through. And with him being matched up with Jerron Boots Ennis and Boots looking how he's been looking recently, I think it's definitely going to be a great matchup. But while it is going to be a great matchup, I still think that Jerron Boots Ennis is going to come out on top in that matchup between those two. But again, in the future for Amanda Stanionis, I think he still will be a player. I think he'll still be a tough out regardless of whoever's going to be coming towards him. But yeah, I don't really see much as a top tier level player in terms of Amanda Stanionis. And moving on to the other title belt holders in the division we have. The WBO title belt holder as of right now, the dark horse in my opinion to be leading this charge and potentially making this division undisputed if all these names still are in the division that I've talked about in this video so far, Brian Norman Jr. This guy has the skills to pay the bills and a lot more after that. I look at Brian Norman very highly. Last time out, he got that second or third round KO against Derek Cuevas, who was also in the rankings of his belt. He had the highlight KO against Giovanni Santilla last time before that. He had a win against Quentin Randall, who was undefeated but had a draw on his record. So he doesn't really have a lot of names, not a lot of name value. Again, is under the radar and is very, very underrated. Not a lot of people are looking at him as a player because if you're a casual boxing watcher, you know, you're looking at the Devin Haney's, you're looking at the Ryan Garcias, Teofimo Lopez, Shakur Stevenson, Keyshawn Davis is a bigger name than him as of right now, who's also with Top Rank. But Brian Norman Jr., man, sneaky, sneaky dude. I see him beating a lot of these dudes that I named in this video, especially a guy. I think he can break down a guy like Devin Haney. I think he can beat up and outbox a guy like Ryan Garcia. And I think, obviously, number one, who's obviously in this video that I haven't talked about yet, but is the king in the division as of right now, that being Jerron Boots Ennis. I think he can give him a lot of problems if Jerron Ennis is still in this division. So Brian Norman Jr., I see a lot for him in his future. I definitely see him as one of the big-time players in the welterweight division if he still continues to stay in this division or he moves up. Wherever he goes, I think Brian Norman Jr. is going to be an absolute problem. And now to the number one guy in the welterweight division. As of right now, we have Jerron Boots Ennis. He is the IBF title holder. He is looking to claim the WBO belt from Amanda Stanionis to be able to unify the division in the welterweight division. And yeah, I think he's obviously skill for skill, ability for ability. As of right now, unorthodox, southpaw, wherever you want it to be, Jerron Boots Ennis is the best welterweight that the division has to offer. He, bar none, yes, he does have some lapses. He does have some defensive liabilities. Recently, as of note, he's been getting hit a lot more, touched more in his fights, but his competition has stepped up. He has defeated likes of Sergey Lipinets, Karen Chukazian twice, David Avician, Raymond Villa. So, again, kind of similar to Brian Norman Jr., not a lot of name value, not a lot of people of note to be able to say that, are big on his record that you can point out and say, well, damn, that's a great win. That's, your resume is stacked. Nothing of that of note. But Jerron Boots Ennis has the potential to be able to get to that type of tier of fighter. Similar, I can say, of like a Tank Davis. I think he needs more matchups. His name and notoriety out there a lot more to be able to push him into superstardom. He has pushed very hard for the Terence Crawford fight, but Terence Crawford is now looking to be able to fight Canelo Alvarez. I don't blame Terence Crawford at all. That's a huge money fight. But now, Jerron Boots Ennis, and I said this earlier when I talked about him, potentially moving up to the division, maybe going to 154, where I can see him dominating and being a little bit more rejuvenated because the matchups weren't really that great in the welterweight division beforehand, before all these names got here, and as well as the weight cut not being so detrimental to him. He's talked about it beforehand, so I believe he's going to continue talking about it if he still stays in the 147-pound division. So if he moves up, I won't be surprised if he does at all. But if he stays in the welterweight division, even though the weight cut I think will really hinder his performance in the future, if he stays on the career path, he actually gets fights that he wants, big money fights, big name fights. I think he's going to be coming in a lot more laser focused and a lot more keyed in, and we'll see the true potential out of Jerron Boots Ennis, who again I believe is ahead of this division as of right now. But that is my video for the welterweight division, the players in the welterweight division, the bigger names, the entertainment value, all these other things that we can be able to mold in as to one. And finally, we have the welterweight division on top of the class where it actually needs to be, instead of it being in the wastelands. If we look in the middleweight division as of right now, that's the division, in my opinion, that's kind of like, besides Janabek, it's kind of rough in middleweight. But yeah, obviously like this video. If you like this video, comment your opinions and comment other fighters that you think are going to be key players in the welterweight division in the future to come. Subscribe, boxing fans. If you're here for a reason, then I'm still going to be here and you're going to still be there. So why not subscribe? Why not continue this mutual relationship that we have within each other? It's going to be beneficial for both of us. Thank you again for you guys for watching again, and peace.